Okay, we are now joined by a fifth member of our panel, Mastin Kipp. I love a name like Mastin. I've never met anyone like Mastin.
Thank you.
Mastin Kipp is the founder and CEO of thedailylove.com, entrepreneur and writer who wants to merge inspiration with pop culture and people's daily lives. Can you define that for me?
Sure. So I think that inspiration is something that is universal. It's something that transcends race, creed, religion, or politics. And when we remember who we are, when we remember why we're here, when we start to give the gift that we were born to give, it really starts to melt the dissolve between Republican, Democrat, American, German, Israeli, Iranian. And my intention and my goal in life is to be able to bring that message to increase and include a more sort of cohesive world where people are talking more about what they have in common than what divides them.
Do you think that's a little angelic?
I hope it is, because we need it. And you can laugh all you want.
I am laughing.
No, I like it.
But the reality is that, let's talk about Einstein for a second. Einstein said that you can't solve a problem at the same level of awareness that created it. So when you look at any type of problem, whether it's, because what I do is I work in personal growth and personal development. Anytime someone has an issue, you cannot solve addiction on the same level of the addict mind. And what we are doing is we are basically insane, arguing that you're insane, no, you're insane, no, you're insane, no, you're insane. And when we forget that we are more alike than we are different. And so
how then, Mastin, do you say, watch this debate tonight? You obviously watch it totally objectively.
I won't say totally objectively. I definitely know who I'm voting for. But what I will say is that I judge someone based on the quality of their character rather than their party. And what I can say is that when you look at Obama and the way he messages, the way he considers, people in Iran have the same aspirations as we do. When you look at the way he includes people, when he's inclusive, when he has that humble sense of confidence.
You don't think Romney includes people?
No, he uses phrases like the poor, like they're, dirt or something like that. And he talks about 47%.
Talk about the poor, but saying the poor.
Well, they're human beings. They have aspirations, and they may be experiencing poverty, but they are human beings. And it's a very exclusive sort of dialogue. And one of Obama's greatest strengths is this sense of inclusion and unity and a sense of belonging.
Well, he's good at what he does, is what you're saying. He's been around. He knows how to do this.
Well, yeah, but even if you look at how he ran back in 2008, I mean, he came out of the gate with a sense of unity. And look, is he Superman? Absolutely not. Is he the next coming of Jesus? Absolutely not. Is he a human being infallible? Absolutely. And I don't think he inherited a perfect world. He inherited chaos, and he's done a phenomenal job of being able to rein in as much of that chaos.
So we're really ganging up on Andy.
Hey, look, I welcome it.
Look.
I think pacifists throughout the history of time get slaughtered. So this whole we'll hold hands and understand each other is childish thinking, and it's dangerous.
On the other hand,
so you're saying that
Russell said, we've never tried pacifism.
So you're saying that,
yeah, that's because the enemy kills anybody who tries it.
So you're saying that Gandhi was childish. You're saying that Martin Luther King Jr. is childish.
These are completely separate
issues. Can you answer him?
Yes. Well, absolutely.
Is Gandhi childish?
He's saying that, look, the Iranian people have aspirations.
I want to answer it. Time.
He said the Iranian people have aspirations. Of course we side with the Iranian people. When they were in the streets, there was the Republicans, Mitt Romney, that say, hey, go after Iran, take them over. We were siding with them. So the idea that the Republicans or conservatives don't side with the people is ridiculous. What we do say is, okay, there's good and evil in this world. It's as simple as that. And when there's evil, it must be confronted and destroyed. Al-Qaeda is evil. Nazis are evil. You can't say, oh, I want to understand a Nazi or I want to understand Al-Qaeda. They need to be destroyed.
How about, to his point, how did Gandhi succeed? He overthrew an entire empire.
These are completely separate issues.
But how did he
succeed? One's a civil state that you're going in and you're going through democracy, and then the other, we're fighting people who want us dead. These aren't equivalent ideas.
It's apples and oranges.
Apples and oranges.
Having worked in PR for more than 3 decades, it's not that black and white, good and evil. There are some absolute good, some absolute evil, but the rest is really unclear. China is not absolute evil. There's a lot of good things that come out of there. It's a great market for us. We're selling cars. We're making money.
He's not saying that.
Yeah. What I'm saying is when we're talking about our enemies, like Al-Qaeda, for instance, there's good and evil. And to say that we need to step into their shoes or to understand radical Islam is a very dangerous phenomenon.
But you also can't understand a whole country by a small group of people.
Everybody agrees with that. But I'm saying your contentions that everybody agrees with is my point. Is that nobody is saying that every person in Indonesia is a radical Islamist or every person in Pakistan. But there is that element and they need to be dealt with. I mean,
well, let's be clear. Fundamentalism is not Islamic.
Here.
There are fundamentalist Democrats. There are fundamentalist Republicans. There are fundamentalist
But they don't fly planes into buildings.
There are fundamentalist vegans. There are fundamentalism is a pervasive human trait.
Actually, fundamentalist right-wingers in the United States of America do fly planes into buildings. One of them flew a plane into the IRS building. Fundamentalist people in the United States constantly make threats on judges. There are fundamentalists everywhere. There are fundamentalists in America. You might forget. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that Timothy McVeigh blew up a federal building here right on our own.
Everybody admits he's crazy. He's not parallel. He's insane.
No. But there are fundamental. The point simply is that fundamentalism doesn't simply, it's not unique to one religion or one race or one ethnicity or one part of the world, and you seem to think it is.
I'm not
from another
disagreeing
student
with that.
over here. David, we have a student. He is Michael Esfahani. Michael is a UCLA senior, political science. Question or comment about the debate?
Yeah, thank you, Larry. So as an Iranian American and from the Iranian American community, we've watched these crushing sanctions sort of affect our families at home as far as their livelihood. So I'm wondering, what can these candidates do to really reach out to the Iranian people as well as Iranian Americans, given their civilian draconian policies like the crushing sanctions?
I'll add to that. Is Iran probably, the people of Iran probably like America more than anybody else in the Middle East, including maybe even the Israelis.
Absolutely.
They really like Iranian. You talk to Iranian people.
Absolutely,
really
Larry,
like
absolutely. And the distinction between Romney and Obama is that Romney was a supporter of the Green Revolution with the people in the streets. It was Barack Obama who was silent. And look, right now for the crippling sanctions, everybody feels for Iranian families, but the reality is it's not to target the people, it's to target the government so they give up their nuclear program. I mean, that's just what those are designed for. And do the people hurt? Absolutely. And it's an unfortunate byproduct of the government that represents them. It's a shame. They should get rid of that government.
But do we have to help them get rid of the government?
Well, we are, and I think that Romney would be a much better friend to the Iranian people than Barack Obama, who was silent when women were getting murdered in the streets.
We have a CBS instant poll, I'm told. 37% thought Obama won, 30% thought Romney won, and 33% thought it was a tie. You want to comment? Tanya Acker.
I don't know. I want to find something I can agree with Andy about because everybody seems to be getting.
I like his tie.
I do too. He looks good.
Well, I think it's. I was going to comment that it's very fundamentalist conservative. Rachel, do you have a comment, Rachel?
Do you have a comment?
I don't want to leave you out of this.
I know, but I mean, of course I have a comment of lots of things on my mind. But I thought it was interesting. I just loved it. I mean, this goes back to the other debate, but I loved it when Romney started talking again about female teachers and how much he loves female teachers. And I kept thinking, does he have a binder full of female teachers? So that's sort of a callback to the last debate. But I mean, it's.
But I support Andy. I didn't love all my teachers.
No.
I had a teacher named Miss Mesmer.
Right.
Tell me about it.
Sure,
What
she's
happened?
dead now. You're trashing
She
her.
was
What did
okay.
she
She
do?
was a supporter of Hitler.
Really?
Yeah, she was.
Really?
Correct.
No, but Hitler
In
had another
19,
too.
I was in. Let's see. When you're 9 years old, what grade are you in? Sixth?
No, you're like fifth grade. You're like fourth or fifth grade.
She thought we should not go to World War II.
That's what she
So
said.
did Charles Lindbergh and that
Lindbergh.
whole
And-
America First crowd.
Why is that relevant right now? Why are we
I don't know
talking
why.
about
I don't know what I'm talking about.
that? It's like, I'm lost a lot, but I just got really lost.
Okay.
So,
Larry,
yeah.
you knew that Obama won as soon as Andy said it was a draw, right?
Possible.
Yeah, I guess, Andy, you come from that perspective. Do you think anyone won tonight, Maston? Do you keep score like that? Is there? I guess they do.
When I look at any political conversation, and I'm new to entering the political conversation because it's something I'm very passionate about because I think it needs a lot of transformation, and I think that the people that should be focused on is not whether Obama or Romney won, but like what is the impact that this is having on the American people and like how are they showing up? I can tell you that the majority of my friends, the majority of the people that I know on Facebook are sick and tired of the way this conversation is going. And I think that if anything,
The debate conversation.
not just the debate conversation, the political conversation, the polarization, the us versus them mentality, putting party ahead of country, this conversation
It's been true
needs to be
since
transformed.
the country began.
But Larry, see, I disagree 180 degrees from him. The whole point of what makes America great is that we disagree and we get angry at each other, but we do it peacefully. And that's unlike any other country in the history of time. I think it's great that we get mad at each other. We just do it with our words.
You know the most attacked president ever editorially in this country?
Who?
Lincoln.
Yeah, and again, you know, a man
Vicious
who,
attacks on Lincoln.
and again, a great Lincoln quote is, do we not destroy an enemy when we make them our friend? And that is the type of thinking that we are not encouraging now, because it's a very us versus them demonization policy, whether it's Republican, Democrat, or, you know, foreign or abroad. This idea that there is something,
But the political system lends itself to that.
And what other way is there? I'm confused. Are there going to be angels that are going to come down on high and say everybody should agree with each other? We have fundamentally different views of the world. We need to express
yeah,
these,
but
and
to
then
the
one group
point, to
needs
the
to win
point
the
at
ballot
which,
box.
to the point at which you put party ahead of the American people, that is national terrorism.
But can I just? No. It's
By the way,
not-
I just want to get one thing in. You can push now. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just want to get that in. Don't forget, tomorrow night, 9 Eastern, I'll be in Chicago with third-party candidates who deserve to be heard. And also, Mastin Kipp will be a guest on Oprah's Super Soul Sunday, November 18th.
That's right.
What is that?
It is her morning show called Super Soul Sunday, where she features transformational voices, whether it's a Deepak Chopra or an Eckhart Tolle or a Wayne Dyer, who are there. It's sort of like, it's almost like Oprah's version of church, basically.
Her church service on Sunday,
Basically,
Super Soul,
yeah.
and you're on
I will be a guest on November 18th, yes.
Okay, we look forward.
Are you going to touch Oprah? You're going to.
I've hugged her
Touch
a couple times. She
Oh,
follows me
good
on Twitter.
Lord.
Back to David.
Larry, my team just informed me of this. We have some new data rolling in right now. Apparently, Mitt Romney is the Twitter king for the night. Get this. The share of the voice, Obama got 43% of tweets to Mitt Romney's 50%. Interestingly, the top countries that were tweeting tonight, the United States came in at 65%, followed by Canada and the UK. There were more females talking about Obama on Twitter tonight and more males talking about Romney. Now, we asked on your Facebook page, tell us what you thought about the debate in 5 words or less. Here's a total disclaimer. It's all liberal. So here goes. Juju saying horses and bayonets, Romney is out of touch. Bernadette, foreign policy is not Governor Romney's forte. Mandy, President Obama's the man. Terry, Mitt, the tribe is spoken.
Why are they all? Stop. Why are all the?
I don't know.
Why are they all liberal?
Larry, here's the thing with
Do
Facebook.
liberals tweet more to conservatives?
You could make that argument, but the bottom line is when you set up a Facebook page, you don't say, I only want to let conservatives or liberals come on my page. You say anyone who wants to like it can like it. You've got tens of thousands of people who like your page. So when we ask people to go on it, we don't, only
Andy,
take
do you
the
tweet?
liberals.
Yeah,
or
tweet, Facebook, all of that. Conservatives, absolutely.
So conservatives do that. I
Yeah.
would imagine as many as liberals.
Maybe not. I mean, because younger people, I would think, are more in tune with technology. More people who are liberal are younger because they're going through a maturation process, which happens before you become conservative.
Can I just?
That's our line of the night.
That's
Okay.
a good. He has good lines from time to time.
Give him some respect.
I
Come
give
on, it's
him a
pretty
lot of
good.
respect.
No, I thought the
Ambush
fat
him.
poor people was his line of the night. Come on.
Meghan McCain couldn't be with us tonight. She had to speak. So unfortunately, in the late turmoil here, we ambushed Andy, and he's kind enough to have taken this. So
I welcome it.
Can I just say, I want to go back to something that Mastin said, and I know Andy, my dear friend, was taking issue with, what he described as your naivete. And look, I know that especially when you're in the rough and tumble of a nasty campaign, it is easy for us to get partisan and to get nasty. We believe in who we believe, and we want our guy to win. That being said, I think it would be irresponsible for both of us to remember that if it hadn't been, for people kind of taking a higher look, a higher view of who we can be as a nation. My mom is next door in the green room. She grew up in Mississippi at a time when black people could get lynched for voting. And so, it was...
But that's a great point, though. But who stood up? Martin Luther King, they stood up.
But because...
Who went to India to learn nonviolence from
because
Gandhi.
They stood up. That's the point.
People stood up, but people also believed that we can have a better country, we can be a better place, and we can be better people.
Also, in defense of this, what Martin Luther King did brilliantly in Selma was he knew he was going to be attacked and kind of welcomed it.
Yes.
And that swung the civil rights movement.
Yes.
That attack. So technically, that sheriff helped the movement.
From
He
that,
needed violence
Yes.
against him to prove his point, right, Andy?
I think that's correct. I mean, it made Bull
was
Connor look like a
Yeah, that's right.
psycho. Embarrassing.
It was a strategy, in a sense. Gandhi had a strategy.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to have a strategy, but I think when people, it's funny, I get this a lot, people think that my perspective is naive. I think to do it any other way is naive, because if we don't change, if you look around, the world's not going in a great direction. We need a shift in consciousness.
Howard,
not
you're a
shift in
PR
policy.
expert. Everyone says they've always been vicious. They don't have to be vicious. We don't have to hate the opponent, do we, or do we?
Well, it's interesting. I was going to make the point right after Obama was elected, and you said we decided the ballot box.
Mm-hmm.
Well, clearly Obama won pretty resoundingly last time. And the Republicans in the House of Representatives, the first day said our number one goal is not to help the American people. Our number one goal is to make sure Barack Obama is not reelected.
Yes.
And that's un-American to me.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of abhorrent to me.
Okay, in defense,
And
the problem,
can I
Mitch
finish?
McConnell did say
Could
that.
I finish, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Governor
I believe
Romney.
in
You know, I think that whoever wins, he will be my president. I will respect him.
Yes.
I won't always agree with him, but I think what you said is so, you know, it's simple and brilliant at the same time. Let's decide what we have in common. We want to be healthy. We want to have a better life for our kids than we have, or at least as good. We want them educated. We want good schools. We want safe places. Every weekend there's a shooting. We don't even care anymore about these shootings. Every weekend, 4 people were killed in Milwaukee. It barely made
He's got a point.
Larry,
Well,
can I say one thing, though?
Mitch McConnell
he said,
did say that.
Mitch McConnell did say that, but he said that Republicans were standing in Obama's way. For the first 2 years, Obama had a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate. And what did he pursue? Gigantic social welfare programs and a massive stimulus. We're talking about growing the economy and jobs. That's what conservatives want. Obama had his way for the 2 years. So the idea that the Republicans stood in his way is just factually impossible.
Kenny Morales, our next student. Kenny is a UCLA senior in political science. Question or comment?
Yeah, tonight, instead of calling the presidential debate on foreign policy, I often found myself thinking that a more accurate statement would have been the presidential debate on the military and the Middle East. What issues that weren't brought up do you think should have been brought up, if any?
Okay.
You know, we were talking about this during the pre-show. I think that we're not, this campaign, neither candidate has given enough attention to the domestic consequences of our international drug war. It's a travesty, it's a disaster, and they're not paying attention to it, and I think they should have talked about it.
Good point. Drugs have never, I'll bring it up tomorrow night with the third-party candidates. Drugs have never been discussed in 4 debates.
And I think the drug war is about to change massively. There's a new president down in Mexico, Nieto, and you have to separate the cartels in Mexico. The strategy the past 6 years was to just go after all of them. I mean, they're just more sophisticated versions of FedEx, funneling drugs from South America into the United States. They need to be separated. The new president's going to separate it. I bet violence will go down by 50%.
Are you surprised that it didn't come up in any debate?
Yeah, I am
was
surprised.
never mentioned.
I'm surprised. You're right.
Are you surprised, Rachel?
No, I'm not surprised because I feel like the focus has been completely on the economy and foreign policy.
But drugs are part of both.
Right, I understand, but
That it never
They're
came
not,
up.
they
You know
don't
what?
test well. They
What
don't
about
test
me?
well
Drugs
with
don't
focus
taste
groups.
well. Affects every family.
I'm telling you, when you put it in focus groups, it's not
Really?
popping in research, or they would be talking
Are
about the war on
you
drugs.
think that's why they aren't
Absolutely.
discussing it?
It's the same reason that they don't talk about guns.
I'll give you
There's
a quiz.
certain issues.
Who's the drug czar?
I don't even know.
I don't know. We have a drug czar.
Yeah, we do. I don't know who it is either.
Who is the drug czar, Larry?
There is. I don't know, and I'm smart. You know the drug czar. David, do you know the drug czar?
Larry, I do not know the drug czar, but look what we found on. Tanya, you like that one. Look what we found online. This is pretty cool. So with all the bickering very politely happening at your table, Larry, here's what happened when Governor Romney's grandchildren met the president tonight. Right after the debate, one of the youngest grandkids shaking the president's hand. And you can see this cutie back here just smiling as if he was meeting a superstar.
All right, now hold it. See that?
Isn't that cool?
That's America to me.
Absolutely.
That's what we're about.
They both are. It's him shaking the hand of the child and them arguing. That's America.
That's right. They're both America. Beautiful shot.
Yeah. And at the end of the day,
it's a Rockwell painting.
Well, look, at the end of the day, he's the president of the United States. Say what you want about what he believes.
Of course.
He's the man in the sitting office. And so this little kid and that little kid, they'll never forget it. But I think this is a wonderful picture on a night like tonight to be able to show.
And who does that benefit?
Who does that benefit?
Benefits both.
I think both sides.
Of course. I don't see. Here you go, Howard. PR.
I think
Who does
both
that benefit?
sides. But you're the
By
PR
way,
guy. What's wrong with showing a photo like this?
I think it's a beautiful photo, and it brings it together.
If you were the PR representative for Romney, would you have told him to send that kid in? Yes. If you were the PR representative for Obama, would you told him to shake hands?
If
yes.
I'm Romney, I say, aren't my grandkids magnanimous? If I'm the president, I'd say these kids are in awe of me.
It's
the
a
president.
win-win.
It's a win-win, right, Howard?
So we're happy here, aren't we?
Yeah, we have a CNN. I know those people. CNN Instant poll. 48% said Obama won. 40% said Romney won. We might conclude, though, in fairness, more women probably watched tonight with two sporting events, major sporting events, running against it. Can we say that? They probably had more women
Well,
tonight?
I want to take issue with you because I might have been watching the Giants game if I hadn't been watching the debate, but I think you're probably right.
I wasn't doing the show.
But I think you might be right. I think you might be right. I think that's probably right.
There's nothing happening Wednesday night because the World Series starts Wednesday, right? Do we have one more? I know one more student wants to get in before we wrap it up, right?
We are out of students.
Oh, that was the last student?
The 4 have come and the 4 have spoken.
I see.
You know what I was going to say, kind of, I know you're about to do final thoughts. The final thought for me would be, beyond tweeting, go out and vote. A lot of young people like to tweet, they like to Facebook, but then I meet them outside and I ask them if they're going to vote and they say they're not even registered. Here in California, today was the last day to go vote. So if you're watching this tonight, you still got time to sign up, go sign up, vote, vote.
I've come to a conclusion with all the undecideds. The one thing we can safely say is, if you pre-voted, you are not undecided. Correct? And how many, do we know what percentage of Americans have pre-voted already? Is it around 20%?
I don't know.
It's not that high.
I think it's 6.5.
6.5. They are not
very
undecided. They voted.
Right.
Well, you came up with that, man.
I did.
6.5.
I know nothing.
All right, let's have our summation.
Somebody
And
just-
by the way, as we did tonight with the debate, I will leave the last words for Andy.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll start with a sum up of Maston tonight.
I think tonight it was a very spirited debate. I think that, if you look at, regardless of who these people are as far as Republican or Democrat, the wording that was used, the language that was used, the level of consciousness that was used, to me, Obama is the winner. He's inclusive, he considers, he does not demonize. He also holds a very firm hand when it comes to where lines are drawn in foreign policy, and to me, he's also the clear winner.
Howard?
I think people, whatever side you're on, can take a lot of comfort in most of the major foreign policy issues. I think you found the two candidates in agreement. There was a lot of bluster, there were a lot of stump speech lines, but for the most part, they agreed, and I think that's good.
Rachel?
Pass. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. No, I think I just have to go off of my gut, and I know that when I listen to people or when I hear them speak from the heart, and I know that, and I respect your opinion on that, but I really do think that it kind of comes down to a gut check, and I just I felt like Obama was really clear, and he just seemed very presidential tonight, and I trust him.
Tanya?
Look, it's clear that I think the president did a far better job tonight. But what I think that, I think that to Howard's point, I actually like the fact that during this debate, we really saw that there's not so much divergence between them on a lot of foreign policy. It seems that Mitt Romney is trying to take a page from the president's book. So, what I would say to that is if, God forbid, Mitt Romney were to win, then maybe he will not drag us into all the wars that he seemed to promise during the Republican primary.
Before Andy goes, you have a final word, David? Don't forget, David's going to be with us right after this, right?
Well, not only right after this, but also tomorrow night. When you're in Chicago, we will be here. So
really?
Make sure you're on
It's
our...
an hour and a half tomorrow night at 9 Eastern with the Independent Party candidates, 4 of them.
I was just going to say, if Tanya's right and the president won tonight, Mitt Romney won on Twitter. He had more mentions. He had more actual mentions of people tweeting and mentioning his name. Mitt Romney resonated more with men. The president resonated more with women. And we saw over the course of tonight upwards of 8 million tweets, Larry, as the debate was going on.
And Andy Dean?
Sure.
Final word is yours.
Larry, the final word. So Obama on November 6th, I believe, is going to win. It's going to be 280 to 258. Even giving
Obama's going to win.
Yeah, giving Romney credit for Florida, Virginia, North Carolina, and Colorado. He's still not going to pull out Ohio. So Obama will win, but you know what's going to happen over the next 4 years is going to be very difficult because all the people that Obama's been trying to help, lower middle class, lower class, when inflation hits, they're the least protected. That's just the way it's always been. And I think
you already decided this 2 weeks ago.
I think if things stay where they're going to be, and
because of Ohio, mainly
because of Ohio. And I think that the only way out of poverty, and this is true throughout the history of time, is it's a hand up, not a hand out. You have to get somebody a job. And to get somebody a job, you have to grow the economy. And the way you grow the economy is you empower job creators. And it's going to be another 4 years of not empowering job creators. It's
we
going to be a
shall
shame.
see what we shall see. I have not yet made my forecast. And so far in pro football, I'm 6 out of 7. We'll be with you tomorrow night, 9 Eastern, with the third-party debate from Chicago. And election night, we'll be here all night long. Thanks for joining us for Ora TV, for YouTube, for all of our panelists. Stay tuned now for more with David Begnaud and lots to follow. Thanks for joining us. Good night.